Good morning, sisters.
Shanti, good morning.
Good morning, Lynette Ben. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Great to see you. Good morning, Ambika Ben. How are you?
Morning. I'm good.
Great to see you.
How are
Shayla
you?
Ben. Yeah, I'm all right, thank you. Shayla Ben, good morning.
Good morning. Om Shanti.
Shanti. So I hope you're all well, and great to see you all this morning. I thought it was a wonderful morally this morning, and I hope you got a chance to read it before this. And yesterday I had chosen this topic of the point form, really based on the Borg message from Shanti Bhavan on Thursday. And today's morally fitted in so perfectly. And today we're going to be hearing a morally that we have read in a previous chit chat, but it's always worth revisiting, especially key moralies like the one you heard on the timetable from the first thought till the end of the day. That's like a seminal morally, isn't it? We've got some key moralies that every Brahmin must read and reread. So I think the morally we're going to hear today as well is one of those moralies, a key morally. And I'll put up a copy onto the WhatsApp group as well afterwards. So we're going to have that as our topic today. But before we move into that, would anyone like to just share some thoughts and reflection, and what have you all been practicing?
Om Shanti. I was listening to a lecture given by Shivani Ben, and she was talking about the karma and destiny, how it links to each other. Karma links to destiny, and destiny can be changed if you have the power or the insight to be able to change it. However, in Baba's Murli this morning, he is saying that drama, and he used this word preordained. Drama is preordained. Now, drama is eternal. He says nobody created drama. Drama is drama. It's just ordained. It's just preordained. Now, with karma and destiny, you have that choice to change your destiny, but you don't have the choice to change drama. And that is a little bit confusing. If you could change destiny, could you not change drama? This is a little bit like somehow or the other, it's maybe when you perform karma according to drama, and it changes their destiny. And this is how I'm looking at it. And but drama remains drama. It doesn't change. We will always become Brahmins. We will always become God's children. We will always come into the golden age if we need to. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, or, thank you.
Well, you've opened up a big topic. Everyone's just getting up in the morning and things, and you've taken us into a big topic, Lynette Ben. Before I get into some detail, Shayla Ben, I just wanted to ask you this word in Hindi, bani banai. Would you agree that it means preordained? Does that sound right to you, or how would you translate this word, bani banai?
Yeah, preordained. I think it sounds about right.
So when I'm not familiar, like in other contexts where bani banai is used. Can you give an example where it might just be used in an everyday context?
Not really used in everyday context. I don't think we can only use it in the things which have been made. I can't think of any examples at this time.
Yeah, and like if it's something which is like bani banai means it's something that's made in advance, isn't it? That's the sort of thing.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So, see, preordained for me means something slightly different, because this word ordained is quite a Christian word. It's quite a Western word. And it feels a little bit like someone else has preordained. Like this is someone else has made this for me. I've got no choice. And it came up a little bit in the Mama's classes. Mama takes this up quite a lot, this distinction and this relationship between Kismet, karma, and that. So I want to speak a little bit in detail, but I wonder, Ambika Ben, do you want to come in first with some of your thoughts and then?
Yeah, this has always been a fascinating area for me in Baba's knowledge. And I think I would have shared it before, my thoughts on it, in that I know a lot of Brahmins do not subscribe to some of the things that I believe. But I do feel drama is fixed. And what that mean to me is that Baba is Baba. Baba will come at a fixed time. There will be golden age, silver age. We go through the cycle that is fixed. We will come down. We will make our destiny at the confluence age. I do believe that our karmas are fixed for this cycle, which fixes our destiny. Now, I do also believe that each soul has a capacity which is different to everyone, which will be their full capacity. And Baba sometimes says, if it is we need water, the water wouldn't come to us. We have to make the effort. That is why we need to make the effort to reach the full capacity. What it is fixed, well, not fixed, but what is destined for us in the drama, we have to make that effort fit. So if I were to win the lottery and I didn't buy a ticket, I will not have that lottery, to win the lottery. So yes, drama is fixed. Baba sometimes use the analogy, if a fly passes, it will pass the same way again. That is just an analogy I think Baba gives to bring to the importance of how drama repeats. But I do not feel our happiness is fixed. Happiness and sorrow is fixed at this time, at the confluence age, which in turns creates my destiny within the drama. Now, some souls will say, well, if my karmas is good and my relationships in this previous cycle were not good, then it means I will not meet those souls again. I don't think so. I do feel we will meet those souls again, but our relationship will be even better. So my thinking, and I haven't had anybody able to sway me from that thinking yet, is that drama is fixed as far as what the geography and history is, but my path and my destiny, which is with regards to my happiness and my sorrow, is what I have within the drama. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, so what you're saying is that there's some level of personal choice within a framework that's fixed.
Yes, and only at confluence age. Because once we have finished with confluence age, we can't change anything as we go into the cycle. That is fixed. I think we would have had a discussion that maybe within the cycle, if we perform certain actions, that maybe the karmas, but I don't feel so. I feel whatever with happiness and sorrow, karmas are being fixed at this time. That's my thought.
But only BK souls come to the confluence stage, so no other souls have that.
Baba tells us we fix our part within the cycle. Other souls, yeah, that's where sometimes we say it's free will. Free will comes in. So for other souls. So do I have free will within the cycle? I'm not too sure where that is concerned, because I am thinking if everything is at the confluence age, my level of effort, I don't know, maybe free will. That's I'm thinking that now also within the cycle for a Brahmin soul, whether or not we'll get the opportunity to reach our full potential by the end. That is now making me think on that level. But So with karmas and destiny, it is different to the history and geography of the cycle, which is fixed. Those are my thoughts.
So can someone from another, belonging to another clan, switch clans? That's predestined, right?
That is predestined. That is fixed. They will not come out of that.
So then they never come to heaven. That's not a choice. Doesn't matter about their karma.
No, no, they won't. They won't.
Okay.
Because they
So,
have not met God. They have not met Baba at the confluence age, so they can't come into the golden and silver. They will come from copper age onwards.
mm,
They will have their own heaven in their path, but they will not come into golden and silver age, from what my understanding of Baba's knowledge is.
yeah, thank you. Maria Ben, did you want to come in with any thoughts? Good morning to you, by the way. Maybe you can't come on to the mic and the screen. Shayla Ben, did you have any thoughts?
Om Shanti. Yeah, I was thinking from the point where the soul believes that it's going to be victorious. So, there is nothing to worry about. And as was shared, we do need to make an effort for it. And this is the time. So if we make the effort now, victory is guaranteed. So there is no doubt about it. So that's the personal thing which is coming up to me when we are talking about this subject. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those topics that is very philosophical. So just like in Bhakti, you got so many thousands of years of scholarship on these types of topics. I think amongst the Brahmin family, you're probably going to get so many different perspectives. So I probably will leave you with more questions than answers, but maybe that's good. This is a topic that Mama does take up a lot, and Mama's audiences at that time are from a certain culture. And when you meet people from the Indian, South Asia, Middle East, there's a very, very deep culture of Kismet, of Inshallah. God, we used to have it also in Europe prior to the scientific revolution. God's will is so deep within the culture, and it fits in. So you'll notice that Baba sometimes puts this narrative together with the caste system, and he says that you souls will pass through these different castes in each age, because how this concept of Kismet has also been connected is to keep everyone in their own place on a society level. So if you are born into the lower caste, this is your Kismet. So you shouldn't even be trying to change this. And you should just embrace what God has given to you. Now, they might also just use this language of karma even within that. So it won't be that they would see karma or Kismet. They would just say, yes, well, these are the karmas I performed, so this is my Kismet. And so Mama was speaking in this type of culture where contentment is based upon acceptance. And acceptance is based on blind faith. And this blind faith is that someone must be in charge. And if you think about yourself when you were a child, you have this deep belief that someone's in charge, whether it's mummy and daddy, whether it's your teachers, whether it's your principal. And then actually the process of growing up as an adult, we begin to realize no one's actually in charge here. And even if you become a prime minister or a president, actually you haven't got that much control over that much. So we begin to realize that actually adult life is not about finding the person in charge. And I think the journey of spiritual understanding might be a little bit like that. So I've mentioned this before when we were talking about this type of topic, that when I used to give the course, I started off by talking about this thing of things being predestined. And when you show the picture of the staircase, you're basically explaining that each life is slightly worse than the previous one. You're coming down the staircase. And there was one, she was a native English person, and she had been advised by someone to come and do the course because she was trying to find peace after her daughter had committed suicide. So I think I was only about 24, 25 at the time, so I lacked the experience I do now as to how to handle these things. And when I shared that with her, she was so upset because her daughter had had such a difficult time. And then I'm sharing with her that the next one is going to be even worse. And so that taught me to really, first of all, be very careful about managing knowledge. So particularly where people are newer in knowledge, I think maybe they still would need to feel that Baba's in charge. I think that I've spoken with many students in our local class as well, and some of them have been with Baba 20 years. But this concept that drama is in charge and Shiv Baba can't change drama is just like totally mind blowing. Too much for that. So I think when we're hearing concepts, when we are hearing from Baba and Mama as well, we have to appreciate that they're probably also managing knowledge according to people in front of them. So sometimes what happens is BKs would say, why is Baba contradicting himself? In this morally he's saying this, in this morally he's saying that. But as you know, in my recordings, I always try and bring some context to these moralities, because you can't understand something outside of a context, really. And I think I want to just qualify all of these concepts, that actually, ultimately, the truth is that which is beneficial. So where a soul needs to believe that Baba is in charge. So if, for example, if I was in the mentality that there is a Kismet, I could find morally points where Baba says, I am now responsible for the children's fortune. You should hand over all the burdens to me. Now the bestower of fortune is writing your future. I could find you morally after morally with that type of narrative, which can fit my belief that actually God is in charge of it. And then what you'll hear, it was in yesterday's classes after the Morley, is that Mama was trying to get audiences to actually treat the Brahma Kumari's classes like a study. So you'll hear this narrative from Baba that this is a school. This is not a satsang. Because when you go to a satsang, to a sermon, you're not really studying in the same way. That's not why you go. You might want to hear some nice spiritual things, but it's about community. It's a different type of feeling. So particularly in Hinduism, people will go more for the community aspect than the knowledge aspect. And so they were trying to set up a new culture because there were no centers. Things were very new. So how should they be? And in a study, it is about your own efforts. So you'll hear a lot of this narrative where Baba is saying that, like Ambika Ben said, that even if you want a glass of water, you've got to make your own effort. So we've got to understand the context there. What is Baba trying to do? He's trying to instill the attitude of being a godly student. And as a godly student, you wouldn't make someone else responsible. So he'll say, because what he used to get was, Baba will say, children study to claim a high status. And Brahmins would say to Baba, Baba, just bless us. And that would be it. So you'll hear in the Murali, Baba said, would you ask your teacher for a blessing to pass your exam? So you'll hear this narrative, because literally people would do that. They've come to meet the Guru. That's what they're used to. They're not used to studying from a Guru as such. They usually go to the Guru so that the Guru blesses them, and they go and they're happy just with the blessing. So we have to understand this context. Who was coming in front of Baba at that time? What were their understanding? What is Baba trying to unpick? Because the thing about education is your first step as a teacher is to help the students unlearn. It's not about learning, first of all. It's about unlearning what they already believe. Then they can receive new concepts and new knowledge. So if you notice, the Sakar Muralis are a lot about unlearning. And the Avyak Muralis are a lot about learning. And so why does Baba get us to read the Sakar Muralis 6 days a week and the Avyak Muralis 1 day a week? And when the double foreigners first went to Madhaban in 1974, they had asked Didi Manmohini and Lady Prakashmani that in the foreign lands, could we reverse it? Because the Sakar Muralis have so much Hinduism in them. They're not so relevant for people from a non-Hindu background. So could we read the Avyak Murali 6 days a week, or more often anyway, and the Sakar Murali once a week? So Didi and Daddy's reaction was no, but they said they would ask Baba when he came next. So they put it to Baba, and Baba said no. Baba said, your foundation is in the Sakar Muralis. The Avyak Muralis are really just the revision course and the in-depth of the concepts introduced in the Sakar Muralis. So there's a lot of unlearning that we have to do. And that's why Baba introduces us to these concepts. There's also a very deep connection between beliefs and sanskars. So if I believe in Kismet, then it creates a certain amount of positive sanskars and a certain amount of negative sanskars. So on the positive side, I can be carefree, I can be worry-free, I can just live a contented life because I'm not responsible for anything. I don't need to worry about others. I don't need to worry about the world. So there's a positive side to that. On the other side, it can leave me to becoming quite passive in my intellect, not really thinking, taking responsibility, not holding others to account also. So as I said, it was used a lot for, I mean, all of us must have misused this concept for centuries. If we were in more elite families, then we want people of lower caste to do all our cleaning and do all our work like that. So these are like oppressive systems. And if you can combine social norms with politics, with religion, you've got a powerful mix there. So if you can just tell people are lower caste, well, this is your Kismet, God has decided this for you. Why should you rebel against us? Then you can control our population. So there's a downside to Kismet, which is you don't hold things accountable. You don't try and bring about change. Who are the people that we admire of the 20th century? Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela. They didn't accept Kismet, did they? So why do we consider them to be great? It's because they weren't content. But then Baba will comment in Morley's about how Gandhi taught everyone to just protest and go on strike. And there's a negative side to that, of course, as well, and that can have effects. So the thing about concepts is that they're connected with sanskars. And I think why Baba mentions these concepts is because he's actually saying, reflect on what sanskars you've got. You've gone through 63 births of believing all sorts of things. As Baba said today, that Shiv Baba comes and makes you into deities. But then from the Copper Age, by listening to human beings, you become a human being. So there's connection between our sanskars and what we've been believing. So our thought patterns, our behaviors, these have been shaped by these beliefs. So Baba is challenging beliefs so that we change certain parts of our sanskars. And the thing about body consciousness is that we tend to become imbalanced. So then our virtues become our weaknesses. Because, for example, you believe in Kismet, you then become quite passive. So you're very carefree, you're light, you're happy, you're jolly. But that's only one side of the qualities, isn't it? So you become overemphasized in those qualities. And that can then lead to, as you take rebirth, those qualities will actually turn into laziness, carelessness, complacency, because you're overemphasizing those ones rather than self-responsibility, accountability. And then if you don't believe in Kismet, maybe you, for example, we could have had births where we didn't believe in God even. You know, we doubted things. We think, because we've gone through so many births with so many different beliefs, so many religions, we tried everything. It's a load of nonsense, maybe. We come to that conclusion. Or maybe in recent centuries, we believed more in science. And so we're skeptical. I mean, even now, when I'm at Oxford University, I still get lots of people look at me to say, surely you're cleverer than to think there is a God. Surely. Because it just seems such a nonsense to many, many people, many students, many scholars at these universities, that it feels like such a backward thing to even believe that there is a God. So we might have been in that space. So then you're only believing that maybe you have to do for yourself. But then there's also a third thing, which is about luck. Where does luck come into all of this? And I've shared with you before that I've always had a lot of interest in sport. I was a big soccer player, meaning in my local level. I was also a qualified coach, a qualified referee. And the sad thing about sport is how much cheating goes on. So sad. And the more money that's involved in something, the more cheating goes on. And we've become aware, haven't we, over the last maybe 30 years of how much, and probably it's only scratching the surface. This is the sad thing about this. And I was talking with researchers a few weeks ago in the sports department at Coventry University, and they were saying to me they just think it's so normal to use drugs in sport. It's just so normal. And there have been many big name scandals, but there's probably many more. Now, why do they do that? It's because effort is not enough to win. You know, you find this in all areas of life. Someone is following the rules. So you'll hear this sort of narrative. It'll be equivalent in your countries. But you'll hear a person saying, all my life I played by the rules, I paid the taxes, and yet I got nowhere. And then such and such a person, they didn't play by the rules, they cheated, and look, they've succeeded in their life. And I wish I had, so they will lament. Then another person, there was a tennis player that I used to like listening to in my, like watching in my childhood, from the Czech Republic. I think it was Czechoslovakia in those days, called Ivan Lendl. And he was the world #1 for a while in the late 80s, early 90s. And there was this interviewer who said to him after a match, well, you got a bit lucky there. You could see you got a bit lucky. He was really not happy with that comment. And he just responded by saying, yeah, the harder I train, the luckier I get. And he was saying that, I've got to make the effort. But we do see that in sport, though, don't we? That you do need luck. The effort isn't enough. A lot of the time, a team wins or a person wins because they got a bit of luck from someone. So you've got this another dynamic that comes in. It's not just Kismet or effort. Where does luck come in? Then you got a fourth dynamic, which is karma. Now, karma will be used in the world as this, it's conflated with justice. So the idea is that someone does something to you and then something bad happens to them. Oh, that's their karma. And people will be waiting for people who've hurt them, for them to fail, for them to fall on their face, for something bad to happen, so then they can enjoy karma coming back to bite them. And I think I've spent many births fighting for justice. I've been like an activist type of person. I have those types of sanskars. And definitely we've been thinking that when Shiv Baba, or when God comes, he would bring justice. And what Baba tells us is that, well, what do we see from Baba? He doesn't do the justice thing. He tells us that he's Dharamraj, and privately souls settle in the jail of the womb, in the land of Dharamraj. He doesn't do a public justice thing. He doesn't go around. He won't give you the satisfaction of seeing your enemy be punished. He'll say, why have you got an enemy? This is your brother's soul. So where does karma come in? And on one side, we've got karma as a positive force, haven't we? So you say that we hear from Baba, don't we, that someone opens a school, they'll study well, and their next life, someone opens the hospital, they'll have good health. So we look at people now and we think, oh, okay, they've done something good in their last life. So we're looking with the third eye of knowledge. And a few weeks ago, I was sharing my reflections on Queen Elizabeth II. And When you look, you think, okay, these are the karma. So there's a positive side. And then there's also a negative side. We say, well, my health is not so good. This is because of past karma. So there's a role of karma coming into play a restriction. So if we take the example of the sports person again, there are so many who are very, very talented, and then they get injured early in their career, and they can't then fulfill their potential. So they had the karma to have the talent and the body, but then another karma came which cut that short. And so then they couldn't do it. So there's a role of karma where it creates an opportunity, but then also a role of karma where it restricts. So one thing we hear from Baba is that it's because Brahma is to become number one, none of you will make as much effort as him. There will, so okay, you can become through your effort, but you won't make as much effort. So something will restrict you. Something will come in the way. Or the other way, Baba said today in the Murali, drama will make you make effort as well. So then that leads to two more things. Probably it's just one more thing, which is the dynamic of time. So in the Iron Age, and this is when I'm giving the course, I tend to move away from narratives of karma because people are heavy anyway, and you hit them over the head telling them that because of all your bad karma, that's why you had all this suffering. I don't think it's a good way of handling knowledge. So nowadays, I just present it that this is the Iron Age. And in Hindi, the word for Iron Age is Kalyug. And it comes from this word Kal Kalesh. And Kal Kalesh means obstacles, difficulties, problem. So it's the age of difficulty. And this age is designed to create obstacles in your path. If we take the example of a new soul coming from the soul world, they don't have past karma, but they're not going to be totally free from sorrow. So the age brings that as well. It brings a mixture. A confluence age, it's destined as well, isn't it, in the drama, that Brahmins have to become karmathi in order for the age to change. So Baba's saying that drama will make you make the effort because that's how it has to be. So the time as well, the age as well, will influence. A confluence age, karma is also different. You get multi-millions for one following of Srimad. In the copper and iron age, you only got one for one. You get 100-fold punishment for not following Srimad. So time has also shifted karma, and Baba has blessed time. So there's a different dynamic happening there as well. Then another dynamic is the role of the soul coming into this. So Baba gives us the insight that we're all actors, and every actor has their own role in the drama. So your opportunities are according to your role. For example, Baba's been saying to us this week, you are the all-round actors of the drama. You pass through all of the 5 castes, all of the ages. So that's your role in the drama. And that role, it's not about karma, it's your role. It was already within you. So someone, doesn't matter how good karma they perform, they're not going to the golden age if it's not in their role. And that role has been allocated to you eternally. It's just inherent within you. So there just seem to be so many different dynamics that influence these things that I'm reluctant to just frame it as karma or kismet. It seems to be a combination of multiple things that create a reality. But when Baba is putting forward a particular perspective, that's likely to be according to the audiences in front of him, then how we should take it is we've believed probably all of this at different points of the cycle. So we've developed some scars that are negative according to that. If you believe that it is all to do with yourself, you might be over controlling, you might be overdriven. And Baba would say, be carefree, be light, hand over your bed to me. So Baba's got an answer for every Brahmin sanskars. He's got a method for every Brahmin sanskars. We've been through the same cycle differently. So we're all different. And it means that the morally is like a buffet, isn't it? It's like multiple plates of food every day. And sometimes you want to go and get some fruit. Sometimes you feel you're going to have a sandwich. And you need that because you have your own way of going around your cycle. And now we all have to return back to that karmatik stage. So I think it's a complex thing. In terms of whether we can change the drama or not, obviously not the big things like the ages of the cycle, and not things like that. We can't seem to change what is in the role of the soul. So then there's a very interesting other dynamic that seems to regulate our relationship with all of these things. And that's the role of awareness. So if I am aware that I can shape my future 21 births, I can shape them. So the argument would there be that because you were going to shape them, you became aware. So that was predestined, that was already going to happen. But at the time when you were shaping them, you weren't aware that you were going to shape them. So you become aware, and that awareness is something which shapes. So I was sharing this week what is the role of death? We've had this narrative about Shiv Baba's introduction running through the Muralis this week. And Shiv Baba has chosen one particular distinction between himself and all of us. And that was surrounding birth and death. So he was saying that actually I'm the same form as all of you, but my birth is different to yours. I come and sit next to this one in his forehead. And then with me, I come and go, but it's not a death. You wouldn't call that a death. Whereas you can't do that. You can't come and go. And if we think about it, there's a role of forgetting, isn't there, within this drama. So that's also predestined for us. We can't change that. Now, that can be a good thing. So, for example, that sister who came to do the course, now, if I had a similar type of person come, I would share with them the transformative power of death. That why death is in our cycle is it gives us a fresh start, gives us a chance to go again. We have framed death as this grim reaper, this enemy that we must run from. Maybe some of you have read the Harry Potter books. So I used to love Harry Potter in my younger days. And the author J.K. Rowling, she used different Latin words and Greek words for the names of the characters to depict certain principles. And the Harry Potter's nemesis, the evil lord within her books, is called Voldemort. And you might recognize that word morte. It's the Latin word for death. And volde means flying. So this character, that's the evil person there, he's desperate to make himself immortal. So he's using killing others to separate his soul into 7 pieces so that death couldn't come to him because his soul is separated. So he distorts himself. And it's this concept of flying from death. And you find this in literature and film, like the Star Wars movies as well. It's this fear of death that creates Darth Vader. And so you have this whole thing of perception of death as a negative. But actually, death creates a fresh start. And so for souls who struggle with their current life, actually they got another chance. And what is death? It's a resetting of awareness. So there is a connection between awareness and how we interact with all of these dynamics.
Yeah, I think his internet has dropped.
Okay, I thought it was mine.
It's everyone's. Yeah. So hope he comes back in soon. And so I know he has some issues with his internet.
Shanti sisters.
Shanti, Bravo Ben.
Shanti.
Everybody good?
Good, good.
We all have a long weekend because it's the
Oh.
1st of November.
Oh, what holiday is that?
1st of November is the day of souls, of saints, and the 2nd of November is the day of souls.
Oh, so you got a holiday? We in Trinidad don't have a holiday for that.
In Italy we have, and the 31st of December is Halloween. It's supposed to be the ghosts who are approaching, whatever. But here it's actually a holiday, the 1st of November, which is a Tuesday and the Wednesday. So everybody's on their vacation because they have a long weekend.
Oh, okay, okay.
And since Italy is very Catholic, they're very much into going to cemeteries and meeting their dead relatives.
Oh yeah, we
Mm.
they do that also in Trinidad a lot. Whether you're Hindu, whatever religion, they go, they light the candles on the grave. So,
But if you're Hindu, are they cremated? If you're Hindu, usually.
usually no, but years ago most were buried.
Mhm.
Because we may not have too much. We didn't have the cremation facility. We had the normal one on the banks that they do. But a lot of Hindus were buried earlier.
A brother in London said they have a place. It is now accepted to throw the ashes in the London River.
Okay, okay.
And then speaking of Catholics, since our brother Anthony was of Italian origin, his
Yeah,
parents
yeah.
were very Christian, so they wanted him buried in Australia. So
Okay,
he was not cremated, brother Anthony.
The
okay.
on,
Mm.
you know.
What's that?
Shanti.
Shanti, the recording is still on.
Oh,
Yes.
well, he may cut that off, hopefully. He'll come back. Supporting it means it dropped. What do you do?
Because Lynette is now the host, so it automatically assigned.
Wait, when Jonas Selena
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
yes, oh, yes.
Maybe we should just log off and come back in.
And
So-
try and see.
So
you can do that. You can go back in.
So
should we all go out?
Let's do that and see if you get back on.
Om
Okay.
Shanti.
Shanti.
That will stop the recording though.